So guys, thank you very much once again. So basically myself, I've been working in different organizations. I've worked in different banks, National Australia Bank, Commonwealth Bank. I've worked in Woolworths and Coles, in AGL as well, to name just a few, of Telstra as well. And my specific gig with PwC was also there. I work essentially in there as a lead principal, consultant, senior principal, consultant. So I run pretty much hands-on roles in terms of coding and architecture, and as well as cloud security. That's basically about myself. And I know you're not here just to listen about myself. So we'll get kickoff started with our content. So, okay. So first thing first, I want to basically give so our presentation tonight is basically into 3 different areas. So I'll basically start with the first area. First area essentially is about qualifications needed to be a DevOps engineer. Okay. The second area essentially is keys to be a successful DevOps engineer. And third, and very important, is because you have studied everything, you have understood everything, how to apply for a key DevOps engineer position, right? So there are 3 main focus areas. I'll get straight on started with each and every essentially aspect. My focus essentially is still at the end of the day to ensure that you get at least 2-3 minutes to ask. So without further ado, let's get started. So what essentially are the qualifications needed to get into a DevOps field? So in this one, let's first start with educational background. Educational background and certification, guys, tremendously helps a lot. Specifically, if you have done any IT background, like if you've done an IT or a master's or basically graduation or a grad diploma in IT, cybersecurity, AI, anything of those domains, it will very certainly help you to get your job into DevOps or cloud engineer. Now, it doesn't really matter, because in jracademy, we have basically trained skilled people from literally from every other background, right? From nurses, and especially from different things, we have really trained. We are very much confident for success. But let me actually add you another thing here, that whilst IT background does help, it is not really a mandate. We are very much into different domains. But certifications, if you have an opportunity to get into, even do some very basic certifications like AWS, basically AWS practitioner, or even your Azure administrator, or even Azure basic certification, AZ900, these will definitely help you a lot, right? Next point of discussion is around technical skills. So while talking and focusing essentially on qualifications, what is required, first thing we talked about was essentially around educational background, qualification, certification. The next thing is about technical skill. Because it's a very highly technical road, I have not really gone and deep dive into each of these ones, but on a very high level, I would definitely talk to you that what are the technical skills required. You can think these ones as the pillars. When you construct any house, you need to have a foundation. On that foundation, you build your house. So same thing like that, we have technical skills, wherein we give a very brief talk about programming, CI/CD, troubleshooting, containers, and ISC. So what is programming? Having a knowledge in programming will very certainly make your path easy into DevOps. It's essentially like a red carpet. Imagine about that. Having a strong knowledge of programming, it's not really a precursor, but will tremendously help you. So another technical skills about knowledge of CI/CD, extremely important. It's like a heart of DevOps, right? Everywhere where you go, you will need to understand their CI/CD knowledge and pipelines, how it's been set up from scratch. So another important skill to understand is essentially around troubleshooting. Okay. Then is most important thing is around troubleshooting and debugging, right? The third most important pillar in qualifications and under qualification certifications is troubleshooting. Majority of the DevOps life cycle goes and spends around troubleshooting, debugging. It's your heart and arteries and veins, if you consider as like human body, is of that importance. Containerization is another important pillar. We'll talk about this one in very brief level. Very emergent and very hot skill technology in the market is Kubernetes. Docker has a very minimal. Docker and Podman knowledge is very important. So these are the basically frameworks which helps us to basically deploy our application into small little pieces, which you might actually have heard as a microservices architecture. But in very, very layman terms, it's basically imagine small little basically objects being created of your very big application and deployed independently. The last pillar which I want to talk to you about is IAC, which is infrastructure code. So what IAC essentially means, whatever you're going to create your infrastructure to deploy your workloads or application, everything must be written in an infrastructure as a code format. Again, here there are basically very popular tools. In Terraform is very popular. Pulumi. Then if you go in very specifically AWS, you have CloudFormation, CloudStack, AWS. Then in Azure, you have essentially ARM templates or biceps. I apologize, I forgot actually go to talk to you about programming. In programming, there are many languages, but if you want to really get started, having a knowledge of Bash and Python would certainly help you. Again, then there is really no end to that. In regards to CI/CD knowledge, again, a lot of platforms are available, but at the bare minimal, having a knowledge like GitHub Actions or Azure platform will help you. I'll quickly jump over to the next one. I apologize, guys. We have very less time, but we have a lot to cover. And I'll definitely ensure that at least last 2-3 minutes are reserved for any questions you may have. Now, next is the most important thing for your CI/CD, for your journey for becoming a DevOps engineer is soft skills, right? Soft skills are equally as important, perhaps even more so than compared with technical skills, because technical skills, you can essentially go and learn with us. We basically help you to shape you, understand, make your fundamentals very rock solid. But soft skills are also something which comes over with a period of time, which with experience. So what essentially soft skills are really required when you consider a DevOps job? Most important thing is collaboration. Teamwork and resolving any conflicts is extremely important. Whenever you work with a team, it's really important to understand what other person's perspective is. And if you believe you are at right track, you need to have the skill to be able to sit calmly and quietly and be able to explain and convince why you are right to your other party. Now, other party could be potentially a boss, it could be a tech lead, it could be another product owner, it could be a squad leader, there could be many other people whom you'll be interacting. It could be as simple as a project manager. Now, let's talk about creative thinking. Creative thinking is very important, right? Because you might actually might have studied, say, for example, a sequence of how you create a pipeline. But for your specific scenario, you might say, no, not for a particular client which you're working. It may not be as really easily be applicable. So what comes and helps is out-of-box thinking, right? Okay, I have been given a task, I want to accomplish it. I have learned something at jracademy, how I can actually be able to use that knowledge and be able to creatively think to actually solve a specific problem. As a very good example I can talk to you is about creation of the infrastructure. The client might say, you don't want to waste too much of time in infrastructure creation, how you can quickly create, right? So you might actually have been studying with us how you create a pipeline with just with the help of a Terraform as an infrastructure, as a code tool. Use that one to solve this is a very soft skill which is required. Now, time management is very important, because when you are given any task, you will be working in Scrum, you will be working in Agile manner, you'll be working in a very much Agile manner. So in an Agile methodology, you will see and observe, normally 2 weeks is a sprint time. So you need to be able to prioritize, understand, and assess what essentially is required for your user story or for a feature, for your epic to be accomplished at a very low level as a task. But time management is extremely important, guys. It plays a very important role in your success. To be successful in DevOps, you need to be able to prioritize your time, understand what are the quick things, what are required, what is definition of done, what is a successful criteria, what will be the case that this ticket will be as complete as considered as complete. So definition of successful criteria, acceptance criteria, and definition of done. These are two most important things you need to consider. Now, networking is very interesting topic. I want to leave for the last. I actually have a completely brand new side on that. But networking is very important as well, because networking is not what you know, but whom you know, right? So say, for example, we went actually in a meetup, right? And you are actually talking with a general manager or hiring manager. You could potentially be talking with any of your potential boss. So networking in any shape or form is super duper important, because your potential employer or potential boss could be just right in front of you having a slice of pizza, right? So having soft skills what about networking is very important. I'll definitely give you a little bit more on networking in a few slides, couple of slides down the track. Let's move to the next one. Now, in regards to qualifications for DevOps engineer, we talked about certification, educations, programming skills, soft skills. We had also learned all those things. But to be honest and precise with you, really nothing helps as crucial as hands-on experience. Now, you would potentially ask, okay, how I get a hands-on experience, right? We do offer boot camps. The specialty with jracademy, guys, is it's not like any other institution, not an online learning platform. We do offer boot camps. Our boot camps are very specialized one. They are from the industry expert like myself and a few of our other colleagues. So you have an option to go for paid or unpaid internships, projects, or even side gigs. So say, for example, you have a good friend of yours, or maybe he's working in IT. You might actually offer, hey guys, you would need is there any internship in your organization where I could come and gain some experience? So again, it goes to our previous slide, last point of networking. Paid or unpaid internships. Now, unpaid internships is per the era is gone. This is perhaps like 20 or 30 years ago when I was basically into the workforce. So most of the days is paid, but be prepared that I really want to get that internship. It doesn't really matter if it's paid or unpaid. To be honest with you, sometimes even an unpaid internship will give that experience. Experience is priceless. It has really no price tag associated with it. Projects are very important. You can go and look at any other projects. Even you can just go, and I have more to talk about hands-on experience in one of the beauty for your Get Your profile. So I'll come to that one bit later as well. So hands-on experience, and it could be as simple as creating your own lab, right? Deploying your sample application. It need not be one of these points which I mentioned here, but it requires a thirst. It requires that grit. It requires that passion that, yes, how I can actually get my experience. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't have any of these options available, you can still be out in the market and win the game if you have that grit in you. Okay. Now, as I was talking with you about networking, I really kept this slide as extremely important because all those technical knowledge, soft skills, and everything gets culminated with the way you interact with people, where you go and attend the meetups and conferences. Now, it doesn't really matter if it's actually an internship or a conference. Say, for example, a New Relic conference is there, or a New Relic seminar is there. Doesn't really matter, because sometimes the way you ask the question, you might actually get noticed with your potential boss, your potential employer, potentially lead. So there are multiple ways you can talk about networking, right? The first thing and foremost is getting yourself engaged and identified. Community meetups are, guys, is one of the best place you can ever go and mingle with other potential people who are looking out for work, or who are actually in the industry, and or who want to hire someone, right? So networking really deserves an extremely an important slide. Now, contributing to Stack Overflow for Reddit posts is very, very important. Sometimes, even if you have a very strong SO profile, Stack Overflow profile or Reddit profile will definitely stand out and even fetch you an interview call. Guys, really important, very, very important. Even if you don't have anything, just get into the habit of looking some Stack Overflow posts and seeing where you can actually add value. You understand what's the problem someone is asking, and you know what essentially the solution is. Start contributing it, because in Stack Overflow, you get points if your answer is right. You get upwards. You also get downwards. There's also some actors you should be aware of. But my experience with SO has been simply amazing, right? Stack Overflow plus networking, going to conferences, any meetups, or even any hackathon events, best place to be. Now, just before I go to this one, I know we have falling very short of time. I assume that you may have some questions, but please do bear with me. I'll finish all the 3 important slides which I want to finish, and I'll certainly give you a couple of questions for a couple of minutes to answer. Now, what are the keys to be a successful DevOps engineer, right? We understood the theory portion. We understood basically what are the certification, qualifications, soft skills, etc. Now, what essentially are the key items or key points that will make you a successful DevOps engineer? First and foremost important thing is continuous learning. Now, whether you're part of our organization where we are actually helping you, shaping your, contributing to your success, excellent. We would really love to have that privilege. But even once you are done with us, it is very important that you stay up to date with continuous learning. Going and reading white papers, going and learning, going on YouTube, going on any other, there is zillions of available platforms are available, or even having access to some of the jracademy's bootcamp presentation. Refreshing your knowledge is very important. Continuous learning, no matter if you want to go into DevOps or data science, whatever, or even AI champion or AI into cybersecurity, continuous learning is your foundation. It will not only just help you survive, but as well as grow in your career. If you're in your career, if you're a continuous learner. Let's look on automation. The most important task, if you know, as a DevOps engineer, DevOps is nothing but development plus operations, right? So your focus when you go in organization is automation, automation, and automation. Now you might actually ask me, hey, what essentially you mean by automation? What essentially it constitutes? Fair enough, we have heard about automation, but in simple words, I would describe automation is no ClickUp. You should be a strong advocate that, guys, I really don't want to use any ClickUps. When you bring with that view, when you bring with that emphasis in an organization, you will really earn a lot of respect, because there are a lot of folks you will see around you. They are very much delivery focused, but focusing on delivery is one aspect, but reducing the technical edge is another aspect. So when you focus on no ClickOps, you are actually reducing the tech debt, which is very important. So to be key to be successful in a DevOps thing, you need to be a strong advocate of automate. Anything which is ClickOps, anything where you require clicks, click, 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 imagine that's a candidate for automation. Obviously, there will be some things or some tasks where you would need to involve clicks. These are one-off tasks, but any repetition, sorry, you need to be a person, you need to be an advocate where you emphasize and you preach and teach that no ClickOps, but not just preaching, but come up with some solutions. And that's something you will be running with us when you join us. Now, collaboration and communication is very important. We discussed about one slide, which was essentially a soft skills. Now, those soft skills which you have learned are this place to actually implement them. So building that collaborating and friendly culture with your peer, with your colleague, with a different cross team, maybe just going and having a chat with them, maybe just going for a coffee, building up that relationship, guys, it's super duper important. It's the heart of your success, right? Building those relationships will not only just help you in a short term, but also long term within the organization. Someone might actually have a vacancy down the track in another product team, but if you have had a chance and opportunity to chat with them, say, you know what, I'm actually an intern looking here, and what is the skills I bring, this is what I have contributed. Never basically brag about it, but let your work be the voice for yourself, right? So very important that you build that relationship, you build that communication with other people, other peers, and basically higher up the ranks in your organization, wherever you go as an intern. So communication and collaboration forms really the basis of it. Unless you have that open communication and open feedback system, you will not be able to build those relationships, which are fundamentals for your success. Now, becoming a DevOps engineer, security is really very, very important, right? You need to be the guy that, okay, I want to patch the system. If it's not been patched, most of all vulnerabilities and risks can be aggressively reduced if you keep on patching. And this is one of the criteria, one of the area for a DevOps engineer. Now, I know there will be many other things, but in a short limit of time, I essentially want to focus on these ones. Now, performance and monitoring theory is an ongoing activity for any DevOps engineer. Essentially, you will come in any role, you will develop something with a solution, you create an infra, you'll deploy some things to the lower environments like development, performance, or UAT environment, then you go to production. And once you're in a production, the ongoing exercise of maintenance kicks in. And essential part of maintenance is essentially around performance monitoring. Looking at your monitoring and performance tuning is very important. It's an ongoing activity. You can't just have a system which was being created, it's deployed, and it's not been well looked after. The system will fall apart. So an ongoing activity of ensuring and basically optimizing your system is performance monitoring. Okay, let me go to the next slide. Adaptability. So adaptability is a really important aspect. Now, I was talking about collaboration and communication, and this side is essentially interdependent on the previous thing. Sometimes when you get feedback, you have to ask if, hey, when you finish with a small project, go and have a chat with your peers, with your seniors. How did I do? Was there any area for improvement, for opportunity for me to unlearn and relearn? Maybe I come with some biased opinion. I was just talking on that, but you came with some very brilliant point. Can you give me that feedback? And it's important for my success. You have no one will come and give you direct feedback. You have to be in the driver's seat. You have to drive this conversation with your manager. Is that really, look, I completed this project. I really enjoyed. You have to come with a positive word. I really enjoyed. It was a very fantastic fun to work with. Now, we're just wondering if you could spare 5 minutes to give me some feedback. Not just one person, not just with your direct manager, maybe talk with your project manager if he was been involved. Just get some feedback and incorporate that feedback, right? Sometimes they may say, yeah, look, everything was fantastic. You went very fantastic, great stuff. But there was an opportunity for me to learn, I had some biased opinion with some particular framework or particular technology. You need to get that feedback. Now, I know, I apologize. I'll definitely give you a couple guys questions, even though we finish at 8:30. Definitely, I assure you. Now, how you prepare for your DevOps position, right? Obviously, we have excellent boot camps. We have excellent instructor-led group training. That's one aspect. But let's also look, apart from that, how you can put some icing on the cake. A cake has been prepared and been served to you by jracademy. But let's talk how to make it even more a red carpet journey for your future. Now, resume is very important, guys. Resume, no matter what you have, know or don't know, it is your front face. Whenever you apply for a position by agency or by direct position, your resume will talk a lot about it. So your resume has to be a killer one. It should basically highlight your achievements, what you are responsible, what you contributed in your resume. Resume is very important, because when you go and apply for a role, you're not there in front of the person who's going to look at you as a person, but instead of you, your resume is there. So it's important that you add as much of information relevant to the job description which you applied in your resume. Portfolio, I was talking about this one initially, that creating a portfolio, Stack Overflow was Reddit post, very important, because this will tell your potential employer how much really aggressive, how much you are really bringing onto the table. What's your, apart from just knowing the stuff which you have studied, this also shows your contributions on your success path. This also talks about what you have done apart from just your 9 to 5 job, or maybe just on your learning. So really important to focus on GitHub profile, as I said, type of profile. It could be anything, but maintaining consistently is the key. Okay. And let's actually talk about the job description. Now, we also talked about quite a lot about resume. We talk about basically job description. Like, we basically understand resume is being very important, but now also understanding our profile is there. Now, job description, most of the times what happens really, you look at job profile, you say, oh, you know what, the JD is looking excellent, but you know what, I'm able to only hit 60 to 70%. I don't hit 100%. Guys, let's not worry. It's an opportunity for them. It's opportunity for you. You'd never, no one knows 100% in job description. So never feel afraid that I only hit 50% of forms. Don't be skeptical. Apply, doesn't matter. As long as you have that grit, as long as you have the can-do attitude, I assure you guys, you will be winning. The market is really red hot in the DevOps field, in DevOps. I always give people, and always been a strong advocate. Doesn't matter, even if you have 50 to 60%, give a chance. You never know. They might be struggling to fight for a right role, and you might bring that basically that attitude that, yep, it doesn't matter if I've learned or not. Look, I can go. I won't love to explore a chance, and you will be straight in, because there are a lot of folks who will not be as keen, not as much as passionate to explore the unexplored things. And if you're doing that, bring on the table, fantastic. I think a very important thing is about, there are two things which I want to talk about, is technical challenges as well as mock interview. When you're preparing, the first thing which will tell me about yourself. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a buddy in your home, in your wherever you live, just go and write in the front of a mirror and just talk, hey, my name is XYZ. I work on this project, on a boot camp. I learned XYZ technology. I learned CI/CD, how it really works together. Because sometimes people go and attend the interview and they really get nervous. To break that nervous, it's really important to get that mock interview and treat mock interview as serious as like your actual interview. Most of the times in today's world, what will happen, mock interview, once you have done, like your actual interview will be obviously be associated later on with a technical challenge, where they will see how you are actually performing, what's your line of thinking, what things you have considering, and in technical interview, which is my next slide, it's not the case that they are essentially looking at, they are not actually looking at how you have solved, what technology you have done, but what was your approach? What things have you considered and what you have not considered? Again, networking, super important, guys. It doesn't really matter like where you have applied, what you have not applied, but really matters that you have network spread the word around. You know, like, it doesn't make, and you don't actually have to literally go and basically bombard. Look, I'm looking for, but just casually, look, I finished with my boot camp. I'm looking for now for work. If you have any opportunity, please do let me know. There is no harm. You're just chatting with people in a friendly manner. You're just basically telling, look, I am available for work. If you have anything, even if it's part-time, I'm keen for that. You never know that part-time unpaid work might get converted into a paid work for full-time. So never lose that conversation, never lose that dialogue. Always try to have that dialogue with anyone. You never know that next person would be a future boss. Okay. So this is actually done. My apologies. I think about one important slide was around jracademy. Josa, are you there around?
I can share that one.
Yes, please. Thank you, sir. So guys, actually that was pretty much of it. And I'm really now keeping things open for you to ask any questions for me. I'll try my level best to answer you. I'll stop my screen share. So if you can please share the last important. Yes, please. Thank you. So guys, these are our details here. We really love to have a chat with you. If you have any questions, the batches are filling up pretty soon and fast, but sir will definitely talk a lot about it more than me. But I basically it's your now opportunity to ask any questions you may have for me.